Hello everyone. In last video, we discussed the classification of signals into causal, non-causal and even or odd signals. Now continuing that, next is the classification of signals into energy or power signal. So any continuous time or discrete time signals can be classified into as either energy signal or power signal. Now, first of all, for energy of a continuous time or discrete time signal, how we calculate that? If we see the mathematical formula for that, in case of continuous time signal, energy is denoted by Ex, can be calculated as xt square dt, right? And in case of discrete time, energy is calculated as sigma n equals to minus infinity to infinity. So integral changes to summation. Xn square. So this formula, from where it comes up? This comes from the basic. If you go to your electrical signals knowledge, the basic energy is either V square by R or I square into R. So if we take the normalized energy, that is when we consider R equal to 1, so it comes down to be V square or I square. So that is simply the square of the signal. So based on that principle, only the energy of any signal continuous time can be calculated as mod xt square or integral from minus infinity to infinity, and in case of discrete, mod xn square summation n equals to minus infinity to infinity. And at the same time, power is given as Ex. Power is denoted by limit t tending to infinity 1 by t integral minus t by 2 2t by 2 xt square dt. Now in some of the books it is 1 by t, limits is minus t by 2 t by 2. In some of the books it is limit t tending to infinity 1 by 2t and limit is minus t to t. So it is the same as this formula, just we have changed the limits from minus t by 2 to t by 2 instead of that to minus t to t. So that 2 comes over here. In case of continuous time, and in case of discrete time, limit n tending to infinity. So here we take capital N 1 by 2n plus 1. So here again, as we discussed in even and odd, because of n equal to 0 coming up one time, so we are taking 2n plus 1. Integral changes to summation, n equals to minus n 2 plus n mod xn square, right? So that are the basic formulas for calculating the energy or power of any continuous time signal or discrete time signal. Now, what we say, for any signal, if energy is greater than 0 and less than infinite, means it is a finite energy, and power is 0, energy is finite and power is 0, then xt or xn is known as energy signal. Right? If energy we calculate for a given, we have given the signal xt or xn, we calculate its energy and power. If energy is finite, power is zero, we call it as energy signal. And if power is finite and energy is infinite, then xt or xn is known as powers. Right? So how we determine is just we have to calculate the energy or power of any signal, and we see what is the values of energy and power. If energy is finite, power is zero, we call it energy signal. If power is finite, energy is infinite, then we call it as a power signal. Right? Now, any signal can be either energy or power, or it can be none. It can be neither energy nor power, but it cannot be both. Because that is clear that when energy is finite, it cannot be infinite. Both cannot be at the same time. So it means any signal cannot be both energy as well as power. So signal will be either energy or power or none. Right? So that is the basic classification of signal into energy or power signal. Now, generally, non-periodic signals are the energy signals. That is, all practical signals have finite energy, because all practical signals starts at some finite time. They are not periodic, so they are energy signals. And in actual sense, the true power signal is difficult to generate, because it is difficult to generate any signal which is everlasting and which has got infinite energy. So in practically, we do not have a true power signal being generated. So generally, all non-periodic signals are energy signals, and all finite periodic signals. We are considering a finite, it is a signal is periodic, but we are considering only a finite duration of time. Then those signals are power signals. So, but reverse is not true. All finite periodic signals are power signals, but all power signals are not necessary to be periodic. That is the important thing. All right. So now let us take the question to understand that how we can determine whether the signal is energy or power. Let us keep these formulas for here. Now the signal given to us is xt is equals to pi t by tau. We have to determine whether this is energy signal or power signal. So if we define this mathematically, this is equals to 1 for t greater than or equal to minus tau by 2 and less than or equal to tau by 2, and 0 otherwise. So now if we calculate its energy, so this will change to limits minus tau by 2 to tau by 2, because it is all other times 0, and during this duration this signal is 1. So it will be 1 square, that means 1, and it will be equals to t so if you put that, that will become tau by 2 minus tau by 2, so that becomes tau by 2 plus tau by 2 tau. And then now calculate power. Remember, we need to calculate both. We cannot say just by calculating energy that this is an energy is finite, so this is energy signal. No, because for energy signal, power has to be 0. But if some value comes for power also, non-zero value, and energy is finite, so it can be a signal which is neither energy nor power. So if we calculate power using that formula, it becomes limit t tending to infinity. If I take 1 by 2t So again, these limits will change to minus tau by 2 to tau by 2. For all other duration, this is 0. Now this is 1 square dt. So if you do that, it becomes limit t tending to infinity 1 by 2t. Now if we solve this, this is exactly similar to this, right? So what it will become? If we solve this 1 by 2t, this will be tau integral solving this. So now because t is tending to infinity, this is tau by 2t. What would be the answer? Is 0. Putting up this limit. Now what we can see, energy is finite, power is 0. So this pulse signal is an energy. So that is how we will reduce that. Now let us take the other way around, that what we said earlier, that all finite periodic signals are power signals, but all power signals are not necessary to be periodic. Like unit step signal, it is a power signal, but it is not periodic. Let us take the example. Xt is now u of t, which is 1, 0, 1. So now if you calculate its energy, what it will be? Limits will become 0 to infinity, 1 dt. So if you put that t 0 to infinite, so energy comes out to be infinite. And same way we calculate power. This limit will change to 0 to capital T because of the definition, and this will become 1 this. One by 2t, t 0 to t. So this will become t, and this t and t will get cancelled out. What we will left with limit 1 by 2 t tending to. Now there is no t, so this answer will be 1 by 2. Now we can see power is finite and energy is infinite. So this signal is power. So we can see that this unit step signal, which is not periodic, but it is a power signal, right? So that is how we generally calculate any signal, whether it is energy or power. Just we have to remember that this is the formulas for calculating energy and power. Solve these formulas, evaluate them, find out what is the relationship between energy and power. Which one is finite, which one is 0, and which one is infinite. Accordingly, we say a signal is either energy signal or power signal or none of these. All right. So that was the classification of signals into energy or power signal. Now we move to the next classification of signals into periodic or non-periodic signals. Periodic or non-periodic signal. In some of the books, non-periodic is also known as aperiodic. All right, so that is the same thing. There is non-periodic. Now, a signal which repeats itself after at some regular interval of time is known as periodic signal, and any signal which does not repeat itself is known as non-periodic signal. So that is the simple definition of aperiodic or non-periodic signal. So for mathematically, for any signal xt, if xt is equals to xt plus capital T, then it is known as periodic signal. For all values of T, positive, negative, and all values of T, then this is called as the periodic signal. And the minimum value of T for which this repeats is known as the fundamental period of the signal, right? And that is T is given by 2 pi by annual frequency omega, and F equals to 1 by T is known as fundamental frequency of the signal, right? So that is the simple in case of continuous time. In case of discrete time, logic remains same. If xn is equals to xn plus capital N, that is the periodic signal, and the minimum value of capital N is known as the fundamental time period. But here the important thing is that the ratio n should be an integer. It should be m times 2 pi by omega. Then only this will be periodic. Or otherwise around, in some of the book it is said that n by m, this should be a rational number. Then only this will be a periodic signal, right? Otherwise it will not be. But in this case, it can have any value because it is continuous in nature and it is discrete in nature. Now, let us discuss now some of the properties of periodic signals. What is that? The different properties. What we say is a periodic signal must start at t equal to minus infinity. And or otherwise now we say a periodic signal is an everlasting signal. It should start at minus infinity and end at plus infinity. And it is an everlasting signal, then it is periodic. Because suppose the signal does not start at minus infinity, it starts at some finite time. Then in that case, this condition will not be satisfied. Suppose it starts at some t equal to 0. Then for the negative values of t, this equation will not satisfy. So then the signal will not be periodic. So the first important property is that periodic signals are everlasting signals. It should start at minus infinity and it should end at plus infinity. Second property, a periodic signal can be generated by periodic extension of any segment of xt of duration of fundamental time period. What I mean by that, suppose this is some periodic signal which is starting from minus infinity and going up to plus infinity. It is having only this as the fundamental time t. Now, if we take any segment which is equal to this fundamental time period, that means suppose I start from this point and take this point. This will be making up total time capital T. Now, if I extend this on both the sides from minus infinity to infinity, I can generate again the complete signal. So that is that a periodic signal xt can be generated by periodic extension of any segment of a signal of duration equal to fundamental time period. That is the second property of periodic signal. Third property is third property of periodic signal is that area under the graph, area under signal xt. Area under xt over any intervals of duration t, that is capital T, that is the fundamental time period, is the same. That is if we have a and b are two real numbers, then area of the signal from a to a plus t would be same as b to b plus capital T xt. Now a and b can be anywhere. Like if we say this. Now you take the area under the curve from this duration to this duration, or from this duration to this duration, or from this duration to this duration, that is equal to the one time period. It will be always same, irrespective of the values of A and B. So that is the third property of periodic signals. Now the fourth property is the very important property, which says the sum of m periodic signals. Suppose there are x1t, x2t, x3t. Like that we have x and t, and all are periodic signals with having time period t1, t2, t3, tm, the fundamental time periods. Now if we have any another signal which is sum of all these signals xt, whether it is periodic or not, that is not necessary in case of continuous time signals. In case of discrete time signals, the property says the sum of any discrete time periodic signals is always periodic. Suppose we have three discrete time periodic signals, x1n, x2n, x3n, and each having different time periods, their sum will be periodic. But in case of continuous time period, the equivalent, necessary and sufficient condition that the sum of these signals, sum of two or more than two periodic signals is to be periodic is, that is T1 by Ti, that is Ti is ith signal, T1 by T2, T1 by T3, T1 by T4, the ratio of these time periods, that is Ni by N1 for I greater than equal to 2, less than equals to N. That is sum of two or more than two signals. If this ratio is a rational number, then only this would be periodic, sum will be periodic. If this ratio is not periodic, even if for one signal, one of the component, suppose T1 by T2 is rational, but T1 by T3 is not rational, then in that case also T1, the signal x1 plus x2 plus x3 will not be periodic. It is that all these ratios should be rational, and then only the sum of two or more than two signals will be periodic. And the overall time period would be the LCM of individual time periods. This LCM of that would give you the overall time period of this xt. So sometimes we have a combination of two or more than two signals. Now we need to check whether the signal is periodic or not. So what we will do, we will find the individual time periods of each signal. Then what we will do, we will take the ratios of individual signal with the first signal, and we will check that whether these ratios are rational or not. If they are all are rational, we say the sum is periodic. If they are not rational, the sum is not periodic. And overall time period would be, can be calculated like this. So these are the some of the important properties of periodic signal. So now the question comes, how to check whether the signal is periodic or not. There are different methods. One is graphically we can look at that. Another is mathematically we can check and whether the signal is periodic or not. Let us take some of the examples. Now suppose the signal is first signal sine 12 pi. Now sine omega t, it can extend from minus infinity to infinity, and it can repeat with the fundamental time period t equals to 2 pi by omega, and omega is 12 pi 1 by 6. So this signal is periodic. We clearly know that. But at the same time, if I take sine of 12 pi t into ut, now we know ut starts from 0. Before t less than 0, this is 0. So product of these two signals for t less than 0 would be 0. So it means this signal is starting at some finite time t equal to 0. It is not everlasting or starting from minus infinity. So we can clearly say that this signal is non-periodic. This we can say is periodic. Right? So that is how we can check. Same way, if we have signals for e raised to power minus mod t, e raised to power minus mod t. Now, how we can see, if we sketch graphically e raised to power for t less than 0, this will become e raised to power t positive, increasing like this. At t equal to 0, this will be 1. For t greater than 0, this will become e raised to power minus t, decreasing exponential. Now we can, from the graph, we can easily see that this signal extends from minus infinity to infinity, but this is not repeating itself. So from that properties, we can simply say that this signal is not periodic. So that is how we can easily check that whether the signals are periodic or non-periodic. Clear? Okay. Now, suppose we have a sum of 2 or 3 signals, like cos of 2t plus sine root 3. Now we have to check whether this signal is periodic or not. If we see individually cos, it is a periodic signal. If we see individually sine, this is periodic signal. But sum of these two is periodic or not, that we have to check. So for that, what we will do, the time period of first signal will be 2 pi by 2 pi by omega, and t2 would be 2 pi by root. If I take the ratio of this will become pi by 2 pi into root 3, and that is root 3 by 2. Now we know this is not a rational number, this is irrational. This under root pi, these are irrational numbers. So in that case, this sum becomes non-periodic. So that is how we can check that. Now instead of this root 3, if it was root 3 sine 3t, then what would happen? This becomes 2 pi by 3. Then this is this. Pi and pi cancels out, it becomes 3 by 2. So in that case, this ratio is a rational number. Now in that case, this signal will become periodic. That is in case of continuous time. And the overall time period would be, if you take the LCM of these two, we can calculate the overall time period. And in case of discrete time, suppose discrete time signal Zn is sum of Z1n plus Z2n. Z1n is having the time period, say 90 seconds. Sorry, n. We can take discrete signal, so we can say n1 and n2 is 54 seconds. Now we have to determine whether this is periodic. Now here we need not to check even the ratio. Because it is a sum of two discrete time periodic signals, it will be automatically a periodic signal. And what would be the overall time period n of this Zn? If you take the LCM of 90 and 54, you can check out that this will come out to be 276. So that would be the time period for the overall signal. So that is how we can determine whether the signal is periodic or non-periodic, whether the combination of the signals is periodic or not periodic, what is its overall time period. So this is all about how the signals can be classified into various categories. So with this, we finish up our first chapter on signals, in which we have studied what is signal, how we define signal, how we represent signal, what are the different type of transformations that can be applied on signal, what are some of the standard signals, and how do we classify the signals based upon different parameters or properties. So we will stop over here. In the next video, we will start our next chapter on systems. Thank you.